Ireland, number one team in the world, get a victory over Wales. Went into this match second, come out of it, well, at least tomorrow, they will be in first. 19 points to 10 was the difference in this one, so it was a nice, proper test match. You look at this in preparation for the World Cup, 19 points to 10, and you compare it to the New Zealand performance the other day against Tonga, 92 points to 7. You got to feel like this one is going to be more useful in the long term. And yeah, some of what Joe Schmidt talked about, Ireland trying to peak at the right time, maybe seems to be ringing true at the moment. It's a far step away from that performance against England only a few weeks ago. It started with Halfpenny missing an early chance at a penalty with Jean Klein, who gave away a few penalties in this one. I think knocked the ball on at least once. Perhaps, with all the spotlight on him, he will get a fair bit of criticism after this game. He was offside early, but Halfpenny couldn't convert the penalty. 4 minutes, and it was one of those moments where you see Rob Kearney doing his thing, and you realise just how important a player he is. Despite his age, he still seems to be one of those kind of evergreen players. He swept up a kick through and basically stopped, I think it was George North, from getting a chance to score. So it was a good try saver from him. And yeah, when he's fit, he is a very important player. Just seems to read the game so well. Interestingly, early on, also the line out for the Irish was having some issues. I think the first two didn't go to plan. They lost the first two. They were none from two. And I'll get to the stats later, the line-out actually ended up being all right. But it didn't start well, so it was a bit disconcerting. 19th minute, Ireland turned down a three-pointer. They go for touch. They win the line-out, which was an important first step. It seemed like the hardest step. And then a couple of minutes later, Ireland go a few phases. And Kearney, the man again, is the one who gets a try. Some quick ball, and Jonathan Davis isn't able to catch up with Kearney, who goes over. It was 7 points to 0 with the conversion. And in the lead up to that, Patchell had put in a tackle on CJ Stunder and copped a knee to the head, totally accidental, and he went off for an HIA, which he subsequently failed, which is very, very disconcerting news for Rhys Patchell, given the history he's had, and also with Anscombe out, so very concerning. 25 minutes, Halfpenny does make amends with a penalty. He kicks that. It's decent distance, and that makes it 7-3. It was Lama who tackled, I think it was Halfpenny himself in the air, so that was kind of another silly penalty to give away. And he's another guy who's kind of been under the spotlight as well, has Jordan Lama. 29 minutes, Bigger gets an intercept. Doesn't quite have that Bowden Barrett gas to get there. He goes very, very close. But who is it again? It's Kearney and Henshaw who managed to hold him up. And I think he actually said to the ref, like, I didn't get it, which is top sportsmanship from the man. But yeah, not quite there. Held up and close, but not quite. But then a couple of minutes later, Parks hits the line at absolute pace, 5 meters out. And he bursts over, takes the ref with him. And Wales actually go in front 10 points to 7 with that conversion. So halftime, you're looking at the stats. Wales had more possession, 52%, more territory, 52%. So you probably think they maybe edged the first half. But the second half was quite the turnaround. I was a little bit concerned for Ireland with Klein giving away penalties, Lama giving away a penalty, not having as much possession as we would have thought. And then second half came along. The line-out. Did I mention that? Second half came along. Ireland turned down 3 again, 44 minutes. James Ryan gets held up, but it's not going to be the last we hear from him. 50 minutes, Ireland do get a try through Furlong, shows some very, very good strength, and their front row started to look back to normal as well. I think they conceded one scrum penalty, but for the most part, we're looking very tidy. Long period of pressure. They finally convert. They get the try. It's 14-0. 58 minutes. James Ryan, the guy I mentioned just a moment ago, he does get a try. The TMO has to look at it. It's an on-field try. They can't really see anything to say it's not a try, so they go with the try. I mean, you got to feel like that ball was touching the blade of grass at some point. They missed the conversion, so it's 19 points to 10. That's how the score remains for the rest of the game. But it's virtually just all Ireland on attack. Wales' defence did pretty well to hold them out. And when I look at the stats at the end, you'll see 77 minutes, Adam Baird gets... it is Adam, isn't it? He gets yellow carded. It's just repeated infringements. It's more of a team thing, but he gives away the last one, and he goes off for 3 minutes or 4 minutes before the game actually ends. So, yeah, full time. That's the way it finished. Stats: run meters, interestingly, 250 to 257. So Wales actually with more of the run meters. Possession ends up 63-37. Territory ends up 67-33. But remember that Wales was in front in both those stats slightly at half time. Second half, Wales had 22% possession and 15% territory. They were just camped in their own half, tackling loads of Irish players. Remember I mentioned the Irish lineup? It finished with 83%. So that's actually, I mean, it's not perfect, but it's reasonable. It's better, I think, than what it looked like it was going to be when they missed the first two anyway, because apart from those first two, they got the rest of them, and when Cronin came on as well, regular service resumed. It was proper tidy stuff, although Wales were at 100% with their own line-out. Tackling percentages, both sides very good, 93% for Ireland, 92% for Wales, so much of a muchness there, but the number of tackles, Ireland made 104, Wales had to make 180 tackles. So really this is what I'm talking about with that second half pressure, and they conceded twice the penalties with 12 to Ireland's 6, and again that's just having to do all that defensive work. So yeah, individuals, Earls was the top run meter getter for Ireland with 38, which is not a huge amount, but that was the nature of the game with all the defending going on. Carney had the most defenders beaten with 4. North had the most run meters of the game itself with 51, and he had the most defenders beaten with Wales for 2. So that shows you about that Irish defence again. Van der Fleer had the best tackling stats for Ireland with 11 from 11. Wainwright for Wales, 24 out of 25. So again, top stuff. You'd have to say Wales' hands in the second half were a bit costly. That little ball they had often ended up with a knock-on or some other kind of error. And Ireland really ramped things up in that second half. So number one side in the world, they're starting to look just a glimmer of where we know they can play. So if they can kick this off into the World Cup, then they're going to be a very, very tough team to beat. So, yeah, that was that game. I watched it in the morning as soon as I got up, so I didn't know the result, which was a nice one. And as I said, a proper close test match with some good performers from some key players. Most of the Irish guys off, like Murray, I think, played 60 or 70. Sexton played 60 odd. Some of the Healy came off at half time, but good bit of rotation. And Wales, Williams ended up coming on. Just a worry about Patchell. So we'll see what happens. World Cup, man. It's not far away. We'll get a week's rest, and then that's pretty much into it. So you guys let me know your thoughts on this game. How do you think this preps them for the World Cup? And yeah, I will talk to you guys again soon. See you later.